Oh man, it's in the upper 30s and rain. Not a good day to go riding, but maybe it's a good time for this. So right now there's 15 pounds of air in this tire. And if you saw my last video, I had a problem getting the air out of the tire. I was trying to get air out of my front tire. This time I'm just using my rear wheel and tire as an example. And I had a problem getting the air out, and I didn't know what options I had. So I'm gonna go over a few options that you can use when you're out on the trail, and I'm sure one of these will work for you. So first off, the Presta Valve has got a little collar. You have to spin the collar up, and that puts it in a position where it's all the way at the top. Now when it's in this position, you can press the Presta Valve, press it in, and the air comes out. The problem I was having on the trail is I couldn't get the air to come out even when I used the Presta Valve. So I thought maybe the Presta Valve was plugged and I put more air in it. Well, I still couldn't get air out of the tire, and I'm not really sure what happened, but I believe the valve was clogged, because after I got back and I put air in it, I was able to let the air out again. So method one with the Presta Valve is to press the valve in, releases air. Now if you're using a Schrader valve, which is typically found on most automobiles, Schrader valve is a little bit fatter and it does not have this release valve. If you look at a Schrader valve, in the middle of the Schrader valve is a tiny brass release valve. If you push that down, typically you need your fingernail or a pocket knife, something like that. You'll press that down and the air will come out. The next option would be to remove the Presta valve. And when I was out on the trail, I didn't have a valve removal tool, which is this right here. I have the Park Tool VC-1. And this has the Schrader valve and the Presta valve removal on either end. So there's two different ends. One's for Presta and one is for Schrader valve. So to remove the Presta valve, you simply put that on the valve and loosen the valve. So the valve is loose. And you want to hang on to it, because when the air comes out, it'll push the valve out. You don't want to lose it when you're on the trail. I would suggest putting a couple of them in your bag just so you have a spare. So the valve is almost out. There, the valve is out. And the air is coming out. So we'll put the valve back in. So that was the second way to get air out of your tire if it's set up tubeless. Or if you have a Schrader valve, you can also use this method as well. And you can also use this method if you have a tube setup with a Presta valve. You can remove the core from that as well. So that's two options. One option, Presta valve. The other option was to remove the valve core, which I did. And the other end of this tool would be used for Schrader valve. You can take the valve out of the Schrader valve and the same thing will happen. Now, a third option, which I didn't think about when I was out on the trail, is to actually loosen the valve stem itself, because this is set up tubeless. You're not going to be able to do this if it's a tube that's installed in your tire. Only if it's set up tubeless. So you would loosen the collar that's holding the valve stem in place. Try to do this. Here's a small collar. You loosen the collar. Remember, you can only do this if it's set up tubeless. So the collar is loose, and you can see that it's no longer down at the base of the rim. And you can simply push the valve in to release air. I'll have to move the collar up a little bit more. And maybe a little bit more. You can barely hear the air coming out. It'll take a little bit longer to get it out this way, but you can do this as an option. So that's the third way to get the air out of your tire. So now that collar is tight. To get it really tight, you probably want to use a pair of needle nose. Just be careful not to strip the edges off. So there you go. First way to get air out, Presta valve. Second way to get air out, remove the core. Third way to get air out is to loosen the stem. Push the stem back into the wheel and the air will come out. That way, and I really wouldn't recommend this option, but you can take something that's sharp and you can put it into your tire and you can just press that into the tire and then pull it out. I did not put that into the tire. I don't want to ruin the tire, but this is the fourth option and final. If you get to this point, I'd just say forget it and go home. I use the Joe Blow Fat, which has a max PSI of 30 PSI. Joe Blow Fat. What's nice about the Joe Blow Fat is it has a dial. You can set it to whatever pressure you want. Pump up your tire, and when you get to that, when a needle gets to that pressure you want, just stop pumping and you're done. If you're out on the trail, use your pump that you brought with you. The Joe Blow Fat from Topeak comes with Schrader valve and Presta valve adapter. Simply put that on the Presta valve, lock it in place, and you can see this is tire's flat, so we need to air it up. I have my indicator set at 15. That's what I usually run the pressure at when I'm on the road or hard packed surfaces, and then just pump it up. Whenever you're done, release the lock. Take off your hose and then turn in the Presta valve collar and then replace your valve stem cap. And that's it. I will add a link to the video that I was having problems with whenever I was on the trail. As always, I appreciate you guys watching my videos. I love reading the comments, and I would really like it if you liked this video. That would be cool. And until next time, see ya.